This is Twit.
We've become so accustomed to those talking smart home hubs in our homes, those of us who have allowed them in anyways. It's almost as if there's a real person in there. The Google Assistant answers questions. Amazon's voice assistant tells us the weather. They're like little robot friends. Well, Bloomberg has a report out today that says that thousands of Amazon employees are actually tasked with listening to voice recordings from Echo devices around the world in order to transcribe, annotate, and then upload them back into the software to improve things. This is all done to improve the accuracy of the voice transcription and sort of fill in the holes left behind by the devices, because nothing's perfect, of course. But this is sure to stir the privacy feathers of concerned users, and especially those who have been saying all along, oh, hell no, I'm not bringing one of those into my home to listen to me all day and night. It turns out, that people have often, their pushback on this is, yeah, well, once there's an always listening device in my home, then, what is it going to pick up? Is it always picking up just when I give the proper wake word? Or, as we know, inadvertently it wakes up throughout the time. I know if I logged into my Google account, there's a ton of recordings that, that have been issued as assistant commands. Not all of them were intentional, yet there they are. And in the case of Amazon anyways, and honestly, I wouldn't be very surprised at all if Google does this also, there are actually people listening to a very small percentage of these. But when you're talking about the amount of devices worldwide, even a small percentage is a lot of recording. So potentially a lot of people.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, I have said this, like, it's not like someone's sitting around Amazon listening to your conversations. But, who do you know? They are.
They are.
It is, it's disturbing. And it's also like, it's like, oh, well, obviously this doesn't really surprise me that much.
Right.
I've done a segment on how you can delete your recordings because they're all there. They don't let you do it from the app. You have to go to the Amazon website and go and log in. They do not make it easy, and you can go through and delete them. And some people have done that and noticed that it's even like their Amazon Echo is better because I don't know why, but maybe just like getting rid of all the
cruft.
Yeah, the cruft exactly makes it listening. But this is really disturbing. They had chat rooms. These people listening had chat rooms where they would send around funny stuff, like a funny recording. I mean, I've listened to my Amazon things and it's embarrassing, like the things I ask for, or just when it picks up stuff that it didn't, when I had no idea it was listening. Also, they said that people heard like things that they thought maybe it was a sexual assault going on or something. And Amazon told them, don't do anything about it. We can't get involved, which at one point is like, oh, that's a terrible place to be.
Terrible place to be for the worker, right?
Yeah.
And then you can, I don't know if I'm...
Or the person being assaulted.
Well, absolutely. Well, yes. No. Well, yes, okay. Terrible all around, of course.
Right.
But then, of course, there's Amazon thinking about their own liability, right? This is never anything that they've put out into the public to say, oh, yeah, so by the way, we have people, actually humans listening to your recordings. It's not something they have in the terms of service. I mean, arguably it probably should be, but it's probably not something that people actually think is happening. Yet when you take a look at how this technology is developed, like to a certain degree, it makes sense, right? Like we tend to hail AI as like the solution to every world problem that there is, and AI will solve the problem. There's still humans that created the AI, and AI still makes mistakes. And sometimes the best way to correct those mistakes that a computer is making is to have a human look at it and go, oh, that's not saying that word, that's saying this other word. And for whatever reason, I as a human can determine that, but a computer has a hard time determining that through the microphone. So I don't know. Yeah, it puts the workers in an uncomfortable position. At the same time, I'm kind of not surprised that they do this. And like I said, I'd be very surprised if Google didn't also do this, because they have to. From their perspective, they have to improve their technology somehow, and this is one effective way to do that. Yeah. It's just privacy-wise, the implications are just strange, especially when they don't tell you about it.
Right, exactly. They say that they listen to your conversations to make I can't remember what the exact words, but it was to improve them. You know, Amazon says we use these recordings to get a better understanding of what you're saying. But I think it's just like, I personally never wanted to take that next step to imagine somebody in a chat room saying like, did you hear what that?
I know.
You
right.
know,
yeah,
with that argument she had with her husband. Woo, glad I'm not him.
Yeah.
You know, which I'm sure they're doing, but I just didn't want to imagine it, and now I have to.
Yeah. Take solace in the fact. I mean, I imagine that it's anonymized. I didn't read in there whether it actually was, but I'd be really surprised if it wasn't.
Yeah,
right. Because they could be sharing some really specific information, bank account numbers,
right.
you know, all that kind of stuff. I hope that they're anonymized.
I mean, I'm guessing it's anonymized, but if you figured out that you were listening to like John Legend and, you know, his
John Legend just talking about Google.
That would sure end up in the chat room. Like, listen to what they're talking about.
That'd be saved.
Yeah.
That'd be saved to a hard drive,
exactly.
probably.
So, yeah, I mean, I think you mentioned this, but this was all sources that didn't want to speak on the record.
Yeah.
But it's Bloomberg. So, you know, they had signed an NDA. So I have no reason not to believe that this is true.
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, it'll make you think twice. You know what I mean? It's easy to think of these home assistants, and I know I'm totally guilty of it, being like, there's no there. It's just a device, and you know, there are always the really privacy-minded people have been saying from the beginning, like, why would you be so crazy as to bring one of those into your home? Only bad news, maybe long-term, maybe we're still in the short term, and the long-term ramification is this is the beginning of something bigger, you know, like an example of a million little cuts. This is just one of those little cuts. Maybe it grows to something bigger, but it's impossible to know. But something to consider about those devices.